Hello and welcome to this edition of The New Normal, the show that brings you the very best of France 24's correspondents' reports from around the world. This week, we'll be taking you to DR Congo, to Germany, to Ecuador. But first, we start in Nagorno-Karabakh, more precisely in the city of Agdam in the district of Fizuli. Two areas that were used as military buffer zones by Armenia for the last 30 years. They have just been retaken by Azerbaijan after weeks of deadly fighting. Our reporters Catherine Norris-Trent and Ludovic de Foucault visited these no man's lands.
Ruins and desolation stretching as far as the eye can see. This is all that remains of Agdam, an Azerbaijani city once home to some 40,000 people before it fell to Armenian forces in 1993. Today, the only building still standing in Agdam is this mosque. This city was of major strategic importance for Azerbaijan in the first Nagorno-Karabakh war in the 1990s. From here, they fired on ethnic Armenian forces in the mountains beyond. And when it fell, it marked a turning point in the war. We're driving through land recently won by Azerbaijan after an intense and deadly battle with ethnic Armenian forces. It's the district of Fizuli, on the outskirts of Nagorno-Karabakh. Throughout this deserted, eerie land, the scars of war are everywhere. Both recent ones, such as this tank, and decades old. The ethnic Armenians who took Fuzili district in 1993 didn't live here. Instead, they used it as a military buffer zone. And yet, 3 decades ago, this district was home to more than 100,000 people. Azerbaijan's authorities have organised for us to meet with villagers who were forced to flee and who've come back for the first time, like this man surveying the ruins of his former home.
Ben gelmişim, durmuşam burada. Ben buradan ora atlaya bilmirəm. Ben ora keçə bilmirəm. Bilmirəm, təhlükəlidir. Bunlara etibar yoxdur. Bu evi dağıdan adam bunlara bəlkə də nə bilim minalıdır filandır. Yəni ürəkləmirək getməyə.
Battle-damaged houses have been reduced to rubble. The main city is an uninhabitable ghost town. Rebuilding isn't the only issue. This land, like all the other buffer zones retaken by Azerbaijan, is riddled with landmines. On what was no man's land leading to Agdam, demining machines are in action.
4500'e yakın piyade əleyhinə mina, 2000'e yakın tank əleyhinə mina, 750'ye yakın ise müxtəlif növ bombalar aşkar edilərək zərərsizləşdirilmişdir. İnsanların geri qayıdışı 3-5 il ərzində, amma tam təmizləmə isə 10-13-15 il ərzində planlaşdırılır.
Azerbaijan's authorities estimate the damage to retaken areas at over $100 billion and is preparing massive compensation lawsuits against Armenia.
Before the COVID pandemic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo was hit by another deadly virus. Ebola killed thousands of people, leaving hundreds of orphans. Clément Bonnereau and Juliette Dubois went to meet these kids who are struggling to build a future.
Playing and spending time with other children, Lucy can finally enjoy these carefree moments. Her wounds, though, are still raw. Both her parents died of Ebola a year and a half ago.
Zenye mama alikufaka, alianja kagonjwa wakampeleka kusete. Akakufa, wakaenda mzika kule. Kisha pale na papa na akakufa. Wakaenda mzika kula tukwana bao.
Like most other children orphaned by the outbreak, Lucy was taken in by relatives. Her brother and his wife came from Bunia in the neighbouring Ituri province to take care of her and her 7 sisters.
Inakuwa kugumu sana juu tuko huko hatuna kazi. Kazi yetu tulikuwa nayo Bunia. Hiyo wote nishaka wakamata sawa watoto wangu juu wazazi bashaka kufa mimi ndio nabakia mzazi abo.
For children who've lost their parents to Ebola, going back to a normal life also means returning to school. Many have had to stop their education because they could no longer pay for school fees. Local NGOs have set up vocational training centres to help them. Lucy now studies sewing with other teenage girls. She hopes that the 6-month course will help her to provide for her family.
Ninapenda kazi ya kushona juu mtu anajigusiaka kumakutaki. Ninajua senda maiza hii masomo itanisaidia maisha yangu yote.
In addition to financing training courses, UNICEF and its partners provide psychological support to orphaned children. Many of them suffer from trauma and feel isolated.
Le fait d'apprendre à quelqu'un le métier les soulage encore davantage sur le plan psychologique. Et ça constitue aussi une sorte de thérapie à groupe, parce qu'il est formé à groupe avec les autres.
Lucy says she wants to open her own workshop after her training and sow her way to a brighter future.
Germany is gearing up to vaccinate all of its population against the coronavirus as quickly as possible. Medical personnel is being trained, centres are being built, and impressive logistics are being deployed. The objective is to be ready as soon as the vaccine is approved. It's a report by Anne Maillet.
The vaccine won't be available before the end of the year if things go well. But Berlin isn't waiting. It's gearing up for an unprecedented vaccination campaign.
In ganz Berlin sind es, wenn alle Impfstoffe da sind, 20.000 am Tag in den Impfzentren.
We were the first to get inside the center and see the vaccination booths this engineer designed. At Berlin's International Congress Center, they will be up and running from mid-December.
4 Minuten bis zum Fertigmachen, 2 Minuten fürs Impfen, mit Zettel ausfüllen und wieder 4 Minuten bis zum Rausgehen.
In Berlin alone, 6 vaccination centers are being set up. At-risk people, frontline health workers, and civil servants will get help first. It's a giant operation with giant resources. The government has requisitioned cargo planes and assembly lines making freezers that go down to minus 70 degrees Celsius are working around the clock. Family doctors are a big part of the campaign.
Wir haben einen Impfkühlschrank und da würden wir den Impfstoff lagern.
The Ministry of Health hopes the whole population will be inoculated by the end of 2021. This doctor plans to be a part of that effort.
Sie prüfen alles sehr gut. Insofern kann ich mir gut vorstellen, jeder Impfstoff, der wirklich auch von den deutschen Behörden freigegeben wird, dass ich dem auch zustimme und mich auch impfen lassen würde.
And polls suggest the public at large is convinced. One says at least 70% of Germans are ready to get vaccinated.
On the whole, lockdowns have given nature a chance to regenerate, but not everywhere. In the rainforest in Ecuador, illegal lumberjacks and poachers have seized the opportunity to go unmonitored. Thomas Nicolon, our correspondent there, visits the heart of the jungle to see the damage for himself.
It's a long and taxing walk to the heart of the Ecuadorian jungle. These biologists are looking for the endangered brown-headed spider monkey.
En ese árbol grande que está así, hasta arriba.
It's a brief appearance, but in reality there are many monkeys in these trees, under a growing threat.
Estos monos están amenazados básicamente por pérdida de hábitat. Han perdido más del 80% del hábitat que tenían hace 50 años, ¿no? Entonces, ahorita solamente están en los últimos remanentes del Chocó ecuatoriano.
In western Ecuador, the lowland of the Choco region is a tropical forest full of a variety of species. Here, primatologist at Lali Morelos runs the Tesoro Escondido Reserve. Unable to monitor the monkeys during the lockdown, now the scientific research has resumed. But other projects, such as educating local students, are at a standstill.
Es una lástima porque antes de la pandemia, esta parte teníamos aquí un huerto escolar, teníamos plantas medicinales, ¿no? Los chicos habían construido una lombricompostera, tenemos un jardín de flores y todo este espacio lo habían hecho los niños, ¿no? Entonces, ahorita con la pandemia, lamentablemente, como se han cancelado las clases y también nuestro programa de educación ambiental, entonces todo esto ha quedado abandonado.
Biologists from the capital often visit the reserve. They come to work or to train local guides. They say that their research and science in general have suffered because of the pandemic.
Nos golpeó muy duro este año, porque más de 3 meses yo no percibí ningún tipo de trabajo y los ahorros se acabaron. Bueno, hay que ponerle un poco de esperanza y fuerza también, ¿no? Y va a tocar tener otro tipo de emprendimientos y otro tipo de ingresos y reinventarse. Pero para algo estudiamos, ¿no? Para algo nos preparamos para hacer lo que queremos, pero la situación actual no nos permite hacerlo, ¿no?
Experts are worried about the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic on conservation. With fewer people in the field, the habitat is not as protected, and general environmental awareness is waning among the public.
That's it for this edition. I'd like to thank our cameraman, Sylvain Rousseau, and our producer, Agnès Le Cossec. I leave you with these pictures of the Amazonian rainforest, though another part of it in Brazil. There, deforestation has risen by 10% in 2020. 11,000 square kilometers of woods have been chopped down. That's the surface of a country like Lebanon or Qatar. Thank you for watching. Please do stay safe and stay tuned to France 24.
France 24 es rigurosidad, precisión y responsabilidad. Somos una familia comprometida con el periodismo y la verdad.
C'est une des seules chaînes d'infos où on nous laisse jouer en plateau avec des Legos, avec des robots, avec tout un tas d'objets.
We take a return ticket to revisit some of the key people and places of the last 50 years of world television news.
على فرانس 24 يمكننا أن نحاور أصحاب القرار من العالم في كل الميادين ولدينا المساحة لكشف ثنايا مسيرتهم.
Aquí en France 24 tenemos a varias personas de distintos países, algo que es un reflejo de cómo es Latinoamérica, con culturas muy distintas. Y allí es muy bonito encontrar que en el deporte todos tenemos algo en común.
Les femmes, elles sont souvent victimes de l'actualité internationale, mais ce sont aussi des actrices majeures de la géopolitique. Et d'ailleurs, on en parle dans France 24.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.